Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Game of Thrones Q&A of the week. Just careful for spoilers for everything that's happened in Season 6 so far. So I'm also going to talk a little bit about Season 7. They confirmed that it's going to be a later start date. I know it's kind of a bummer. Now our watch has begun. They basically said that because winter has come, they can't shoot the show during the summer like they normally would, like they'd be shooting it really soon. But because summertime in Northern Ireland isn't most conducive for doing winter-type scenes, they have to wait a little bit longer in the year to start filming, meaning that episodes are going to come a little bit later, in addition to being a slightly shorter season. So under normal circumstances, the show would premiere at the beginning of April. This season it was delayed by a couple weeks, so I think that it'll be a couple weeks after that, like it'll premiere sometime in May. Usually they wait till late in the year to announce like a ballpark figure, like, oh, we expect it to start sometime in May, or, it might not start till June. I don't think it's going to be that late, but just don't expect them to give you a hard date anytime soon. But on to questions. A lot of Littlefinger, Tyrion being the third head of the dragon, Jon and Dany stuff. So here we go. First question. Edge Future asks, how will Cersei die in your opinion? So what I think the message with Cersei is that she'll become the tyrant that everyone fears, and everyone will rise up to crush her. But I really want to see Jaime kill her, but the other side of that Braavosi coin would be Arya, crossing her off her list. The poetic compromise would be if Arya poisoned her wine, because wine is such a big deal for Cersei, and then, as she's slowly choking, then Jaime runs her through Mad King style. But either way, the minute she blew up the Great Sept and Tommen killed himself, that was it for her. She's absolutely marked for death. But because Lena Headey is so fantastic and Cersei is such a great character, I think they're going to keep her around as long as possible. Like, they'll definitely kill her off in some amazing way, but just out of spite, she will outlive most of the other characters on the show that they plan on killing off. Next question. Virtual Super Soldier asks, Jon and Daenerys' child will be the one who was promised. And then, nice little joke. So yeah, there were actually a couple of people that suggested this. There's a lot of people based on the books that think that Daenerys might be barren. She does have a miscarriage towards the end of book 5, so she can at least get pregnant. We don't know if she can actually carry a child to term though. The reality of the situation is that I think that Jon and Daenerys will have to form an alliance. Maybe that's bound by marriage, but I'm not expecting any children from them. That feels like it would move into fanfiction territory. George R. Martin teased the Lord of the Rings type ending, very bittersweet. Now, when most people think of that, they think of Aragorn's wedding, so yay, very happy occasion, but I'm thinking more about the end of that, like when people just wade off into the distance, and then people like Samwise or Samwell on Game of Thrones are left to try and build happiness in what's left after this big conflict is over. So if anyone's left alive, like if anyone's left in the rubble, just like really sad because their friends have died, it's going to be Samwell, Gilly, and little Samwell. Next question, No Trees asks, I think that Jon and Dany are both promised, but what about Tyrion as the third person? Could he also be a Targaryen? Well, just to answer that, I think that if there's going to be like a third person to ride dragons, and like a metaphorical third head of the dragon, I do think that it'll be Tyrion. I don't know necessarily that they'll go with Tyrion as a Targaryen on the show, though. The show has only teased that the dragons trust Tyrion. That whole speech of his, it was really touching how when he was a little kid and he was getting ready for his birthday, he said that all he wanted was a baby dragon. It didn't even have to be a big one. And look, here you are. So I think they're setting up some more Season 7 Tyrion dragon moments. But just to explain, when people talk about Tyrion maybe being a secret Targaryen, I get you're not really a character on Game of Thrones until you might be a secret Targaryen. That's just like an inside joke. But people think that the Mad King had a thing for Tyrion's mother and had his way with her, and Tyrion was the product of that union. And that's one of the reasons why Tywin hates him so much. Mostly I think it's because of his deformity and because Tywin really loved his wife and she died in childbirth, so he kind of blames Tyrion for that. And on top of that, he looks like an imp. Next question, Surit asks, how awesome would it be if the song Rhaegar sang at Harrenhal was for Lyanna Stark and it's the Song of Ice and Fire? Yeah, I'd definitely be interested to see if the show actually does Rhaegar and he sings a song. I think we'll definitely see Rhaegar eventually. In the House of the Undying, when Daenerys has a vision, she sees Rhaegar and he talks about this new baby that he's cradling, saying that his song is a Song of Ice and Fire. But because Barristan Selmy on the TV show teased Rhaegar singing so much, I think it's a definite possibility we could see him sing on the show. They have done a good job of paying off moments that they tease like that, like little bits of information. So they've teased turning at Harrenhal, they've teased Rhaegar singing, so presumably they will show that to us eventually. Next question, Beto asks, even if R plus L equals J, isn't he still a bastard as his father was married to another woman? Wouldn't Daenerys have more right to the throne than him due to this? Well, Jon's status as a bastard really only depends on Rhaegar being legitimately married to Lyanna Stark. So there's like a couple hoops they have to jump through, but I don't think that the show is going to fully explain. I don't think it's going to matter. Like, the people in the North have already crowned him king. Lyanna Mormont's like, I don't care who he is, he's our king. So I think that the show's just going to stick with that. If Jon is still a bastard, then technically yes, Daenerys would have a stronger claim to the throne. Next question, Travis asks, any thoughts on Nashara Dane? Reading the books made me think that she played a significant role. At first I thought she'd be Jon's mother after she got busy with Ned or Brandon. Well, okay, so Ashara Dane, so far on the show, she is the person that Ned Stark took Dawn to at Starfall after Arthur Dane died at the Tower of Joy. Like, he took his ancestral blade home while, with the baby in tow. The reason the people assumed that Ashara Dane was Jon Snow's mother was because of the proximity in time to when Jon Snow was born, like how old he was, and when Ned was at Starfall. In the grander scheme of things, Barristan Selmy actually had a big thing for her when they were young at the tourney of Harrenhal. Had he beat Rhaegar at the joust in that final match, he would have honored Ashara Dane the same way Rhaegar ended up honoring Lyanna Stark, causing that big scandal. Next question, Nicholas asks, what do you think about the theory of the dragons being under Winterfell? Yeah, there are a lot of people that wonder if there might be a clutch of dragon eggs under Winterfell. It's totally possible, but I think at this point in the narrative, Jon Snow is the dragon of Winterfell. Like, the lore has become the metaphor. It's kind of the same thing with the Azor Ahai. Like, people believe there was like an actual mythical figure, when really it's more of a metaphor. Just someone who's a mythical leader that leads them to victory, which is, why I think there are multiple Azor Ahai type people, even if no one actually calls them that. The only people that have actually used that term are the Red Priests. Everyone else, like if you look at the Wildlings, they don't think of Jon Snow as a king. They just think of him as someone to lead them through the long night, just like Daenerys' followers think of her. So if there were actually dragons under Winterfell at one time, like a long, long time ago, there probably aren't anymore, and now the only dragon at Winterfell is Jon Snow. Next question, Monica asks, I don't really understand the Targaryen fireproof thing. Daenerys is the only one on the show that's been proven to be immune to fire. Viserys died because of the melted gold Khal Drogo threw on him. He was pure Targaryen, just like his sister. Jon Snow seemed to make a scream getting burnt when he threw the fire at the White, saving the Lord Commander. I'm so confused. Okay, so what the show is doing is it's just making Daenerys seem like she has a superpower, that she has dragons and she is immune to fire. But the show has like turned it into a thing that's way bigger than it is in the books. Like, Jon Snow seems like he's almost immortal. He's actually a warg in real life too, but the show hasn't really done that yet. Daenerys seems like she's fireproof. Like, each of them has one big thing that they can call a superpower. But in reality, the way George R. R. Martin explains it is that, Targaryens are fireproof when blood magic is in play. Otherwise, they just have a minor resistance to heat. Next question, AM723. How was Arya able to use another face when she left Braavos? So there's a couple theories about this. None of them make any sense. It really just make you mad if you try to overanalyze this. Like, the show just wanted to have this big twist, so it really just threw logic out the window. Part of the problem with Arya face swapping that girl at the Twins is that it wouldn't make you taller. Like, she's way taller than Maisie Williams in real life, that actress, and she has like way bigger boobs. Switching faces doesn't make your body change shape, so she wouldn't get any taller and she wouldn't grow any boobs. But the TV show, because it wanted to have that twist, just kind of threw that out the window. It's like, please don't pay attention to the logic here. So if you want to come up with like a funny explanation for how she changed faces, you could say that she pocketed a couple faces with her when she left Braavos. But in reality, the TV show just isn't bothering to explain that. Next question, Chris asks, whole bunch of Littlefinger questions. So I like the idea about the Littlefinger video, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think is going to be happening with him next season. So Littlefinger is all about twisting Sansa against Jon Snow, and as stupid as that seems, like Sansa should trust Jon Snow, it's not like he's trying to do anything. Littlefinger is going to do everything he can to make her believe like she has to turn on him. Littlefinger tends to work better behind the scenes in the shadows, so I think they're mostly going to use his storyline to create drama, like filler drama, until they're ready to battle the White Walkers, because that's like the big external threat, but you need to have internal threats, and everybody seems to love Jon Snow. The Wildlings love him, all the Northerners love him. Littlefinger is the only person who hates the shit out of Jon Snow. So he's probably going to do everything he can to poison Sansa against Jon. Next question, Julianne asks, do you think that Howland Reed will appear in any of the 2 seasons to reveal Jon Snow's true parentage? Actually, no. I think the show will find another way to do it. So one, I don't think that anybody's going to question his legitimacy to lead, so it won't really be that big of an issue, but I think that Bran will probably be the one to tell him. Regardless of what Bran tells him or doesn't tell him, on top of all that, I think that eventually Jon Snow will come face to face with the dragon, and it will cozy up to him a little bit. And that will be like the show's way of letting Daenerys know that he's a good person, because if the dragons like him, how bad can he be? But I don't think that there's ever going to be a situation where he'll have to prove that he's a Targaryen. If he does have to prove it to Daenerys, I think that the dragons will prove that for her. But thank you everyone for submitting questions. These are always a ton of fun to do. Comic-Con is coming up in a couple weeks, so I will do like a Comic-Con specific video explaining what all those videos are going to look like. They've only announced some of the actors they're bringing. They haven't really said what they're going to show off. They'll probably do a blooper reel. Maybe they'll tease stuff about next season. I think that they'll at least tease it, even if they're not going to have footage. Because of course, if they're not going to shoot for a while, then they won't have any footage. Once we learn a little bit more about their plans, I'll do a preview video just explaining how my videos are going to work whenever that stuff comes. But congratulations to this week's giveaway winner, Christopher. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Just be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel for contact details. So because I realized that I haven't done like a episode ranking for season 6, like ranked all my season 6 episodes from top to bottom, that's probably what my next bonus video will be, so I'll post that on Sunday. So be sure to subscribe to get that. There'll also be a new round of the giveaway when I post that too. While you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here for my Azor Ahai video. I just talk about how the prophecy is going to be twisted. It's going to turn into more of a metaphor than a literal thing. And you can click here for my Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok behind the scenes videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.